The tennis fundamentals, the serve, the volley, and the smash.
This month we are doing tennis.
What better way to take advantage of the great weather than with a game of tennis?
I have no chance in the match. He's the number one in the world and I'm playing with the metal hit.
I feel like a lot of the big dogs are still out there, still alive. I feel like the next, like the quarterfinals are going to be great. Obviously, Osaka, which we'll talk about later, had to drop out due to injury. Mira Andreeva lost last night, but Svitolina, obviously, who beat her, is pretty highly ranked, so a good player. But I feel like we still have Iga, we still have Sabalenka, Rybakina, Anisimova. Keys and Pegula are still there, so a lot of the big players are still alive. And same on the men's side. I mean, obviously Alcaraz in center. Demonheart is playing really well. I'm sure we'll talk about him. Zverev is still around. Djokovic is cruising. We'll mention him as well. Ruud and Shelton. So I just feel like it's going to be a great quarterfinals, great semis, great final.
Hell yeah. My brother Johnny texted me with the same sentiment this morning, so I'm excited to get into it. Today on Nice Point Podcast, it's the Australian Open mid-tournament episode. We're going to talk about what we watched for the first week, a lot of drama, and just a lot of exciting results and players that we were excited about showing off and showing up. And that will lead us to sort of the back half of the podcast where we'll talk about what it's looking like in week 2, so basically like from quarterfinals on. Here on Sunday night, we still have the some of the fourth round matches to be played, but we'll do some projecting and some revised predicting maybe on the women's side. This is Nice Point Podcast. I'm here with Joe Hallman. Let's start with women. Joe, did you watch women's tennis this week?
A little bit, yeah, yep. I stayed up late, watched the entire Coco Haley Baptiste match in the third round the other night. I thought it was a phenomenal match. Haley Baptiste won the first set. I was a little worried for Coco. And obviously, you know, Coco number 3 in the world. Obviously, she's a great player. Has got every shot. You know, big, strong, athletic, super fast, great court coverage. What I came away so impressed with after watching this match, just the mental side of her game. It's just so mentally strong. To drop that first set, comes back and wins the second set 6-0. I was just like, I was like really worried Coco was going to lose that match because she really didn't look good in that first set and just completely hit the reset button, wins the second set 6-0, wins the third set 6-3. She's locked in mentally. I was super impressed by that, and that's why she's a 2-time slam winner. I mean, that's why she's one of the best in the world. Just super locked in mentally.
No, dude, she's a grinder. I definitely stayed up with you late at night watching Coco on that. Maybe that was like Thursday night and Saturday night. She had 3 setters that started late as she's in the primetime slot, and so I've also been spending some late nights with Coco. And I've seen her win matches like that in the semifinals and the finals, just grinding it out and having a short memory. I think my new theory, and it's not just her, there's a couple players I'm starting to work with this theory on. I think they almost get really comfortable with their frustration on a point-by-point basis. And you can see them, each point that they either succeed at or screw up in, they show a lot of the emotion. What the heck am I doing? Or like, oh yes, that's it right there. And then that point is gone. Then we're on to the next point. And I think that really helps take away some of the mathematics scoreboard watching where you're going, oh shoot, if I drop serve here, the implications of that within this whole match is potentially really problematic for me. I think there are just a couple players that are obsessed with every point and let themselves get all the way from like excitement to frustration on each point, and this is how they win some of these ugly matches.
Right, live in the moment. That's the key to tennis. That's the key to life, I think. Don't have that short memory, like you said. The happiest animal in the world's a goldfish because it's got the shortest memory. Shout out Ted Lasso. So yeah, I think that's for sure. Yeah, just play the point in front of you.
Plus, there's swimming. I feel like who doesn't like swimming?
Just keep swimming. Shout out Finding Nemo. Oh man, I watched
Um,
Anisimova a couple times this past week. Amanda Anisimova, watched her match against Sincaraz in the second round. Uh, I was again super impressed with Anisimova this week. Had a ton of unforced errors in that match though. Also had a ton of winners, but she looks to be at the top of her game. She's playing really well from what I've seen. So yeah, she hasn't like had great results at the Australian Open in her career. So yeah, really happy for her that she's playing well this week.
I was going to agree with you. I was going to bucket a women's draw theme that does not include Coco, which is just a couple players burning through the draw. So, like you mentioned,
Hmm.
Siniakova, kind of a tough matchup maybe in the second round for Anisimova. She blows through that one in straight. Uh, I didn't know if Peyton Stearns from the United States, like sometimes an up and comer from your country, sometimes like adds a different color to the match and becomes those are trap matches often. And no, not at all for Anisimova. She wins both of those in straights with a bagel include or with at least a breadstick included for her there. So, and I was going to put her with some other uh, dominant performances. So we'll stay on the Americans. Iva Jovic, her breakout tournament. This is not her nice point nod. She's kind of been on our radar, but definitely her best result ever, and that's even not saying enough. She beats Jasmine Paolini, who's ranked in the top 10 in straights.
Hmm.
Then she just in the fourth round smokes Putintseva from Kazakhstan with a bagel breadstick combo. Joe, how do you like those carbs, buddy?
Bakery's open, baby. Love it.
Have you seen any of Iva Jovic?
I have not seen her this week at all. Obviously, like you said, not a nice point nod for her. We've talked about her before, but I have hardly watched any of her matches this week.
She's like really cool.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Jess Pagula also playing super well so far. She has not dropped a set. She's into the fourth round. We'll play Madison Keys tonight. Obviously, very good friends. I think they have a podcast together, Pagula and Keys. But yeah, Pagula's, I think, handed out a bagel so far in her first three matches. Has not lost a set, so that should be a great match tonight.
Yeah, that's definitely an emotional one. Like as I said, some of the friendly fire. I mean, we'll get into what the bracket looks like in the back half, but a lot of these American women in the past couple of years, like getting a bite at the apple, some more than others, but ultimately sometimes it's a zero-sum game, and only one person's going to be able to have this bite at each tournament, and those in the second week they really start to run into each other, and we'll find out who it's going to be between those players. Yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm seeing this the players box with Pagula, Madison Keys. Is it Jenny Brady and Desiree Krawczyk? I didn't know
Right,
about this one, Joe.
right. Yeah, tune in. Tennis podcast popping up
These
all
fuckers.
over the place.
We don't consider them a direct competitor because of their, they're coming from a different perspective. We're fans, but it still takes up some of those tennis fan listening hours that we're trying to gobble up. So a little bit stressful for that to come across my desk here in the live record. Okay. You know what? Just Pagula, by the way, in this Nike orange that looks pretty bad. It it does bring me to mention this orange theme at the Australian Open. I think Hurkacz was in like a bright orange.
Hmm.
Some of the ball kids aren't orange. It's orange is very oranging here at the Australian Open. One aspect of it I like. Even Coco Gauff has sort of like the orange braids in. for a sort of ginger look for her, and matched tastefully with like the lavender Wilson outfit. So, Joe, any comments on orange? Why is everybody wearing orange? Joe, where does orange? What role does orange play in your closet or in your tennis gear?
So, admittedly, I don't have a ton of orange in my wardrobe personally, but I love it. Love the love the orange look. I think you mentioned some of the ball kids are wearing orange. I love the ball kids outfits at this tournament. Although I'm not sure why they're wearing long sleeves in such hot weather. Maybe that's like
Fair.
a sun. Maybe that's a sun thing. They're like, so they don't get sunburn or whatever. But yeah, other than that, I'm loving a lot of the outfits. I got a couple candidates for best fit of the tournament already, which I'm sure we'll talk about next week. But yeah, a lot of good fits out there.
Sure, a ball kid can win the nice look award. I tend to always like the ball kid and the umpire outfits. These are Ralph Lauren sponsored, and yeah, I think they have that sort of Lawrence of Arabia like hat with the tail on it for the sun protection.
Right, right.
Tough to pull off one of those, but these kids certainly are. The last, we had some technical difficulties, so we're jumped all around here. But we do have to just finish out first week of women, and continuing the theme of dominance. Aryna Sabalenka has not lost a set yet. She's played in a couple tie breaks, but looking really strong. And I thought this matchup with Victoria Mboko was going to be like must-watch TV. Looks like she dropped a breadstick there and won that pretty handily. So Sabalenka looking good. I did want to say though, I continue the enthusiasm about Victoria Mboko. I want to throw in a prediction that she wins a slam someday early here. Get it on season 4, episode 3. Not because I know every single thing about her game and why she's going to be successful. Obviously, she's really young, so that works in my favor. But just because, Joe, I like this pattern of when I lost at the slam, I lost to Aryna Sabalenka. I feel like I saw this with Coco Gauff before she won her first tournament. That it's like, as long as I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose to the best people, and that's the hump I got to get over. We see it with Shelton, I feel like, and it's a way to win tournaments. To not lose matches, you shouldn't lose. I think that's kind of the key, is being there, giving yourself the opportunity, and it's a small sample size, but that's Mboko so far.
Right, yeah. Keep giving yourself a shot. Keep knocking on the door. Exactly. And then that final hump is get over is kind of beating those best players in the world. Exactly.
You want to do Naomi Osaka?
Yeah, so unfortunately, our pick to win the tournament here on the Nice Point podcast, unfortunately had to drop out due to injury, abdominal injury, which I guess she's dealt with for a while throughout her career. I think it's a left side abdominal injury, so super bummer for her and for her fans. Hope she's
and for us. I feel like we got fleeced on this pick.
Yeah. I mean, she was looking. I think in the third round where she had to drop out just before that third round match. Would have played a qualifier there, so you would think she's probably going to win that pretty handily. And then would have had a big matchup with Iga there in the fourth round. And I think like we mentioned last week, she matches up pretty darn well against Iga. So could have been into the quarters there, and who knows what happens after that. But yeah, you hate to see someone have to drop out due to an injury. It's just the worst part of sports is injuries. So yeah, hate to see that.
It's the worst part. There's not even any graceful, intrigue way to talk about injuries. Like, it's not even talking about like something that's like the dark side or the controversial side, but there's still something to talk. It's just a straight bummer. There's nothing fun or interesting about the injuries at all that anyone's ever like written about or read about or talked about on a podcast. So it just stinks. And yeah, we're robbed of that matchup. And of our bold pick, Joe, tell us about Naomi Osaka and Sorana Cirstea.
Right. Yeah. So that was a big. That was the second round matchup between those two. A little bit of controversy there between Osaka and Cirstea. So at some point in the third set, Sorry, I'm messing with my notes here. Some point in the
Get them
third.
out.
So I don't want to get this wrong. At some point in the third set, Cirstea is serving. First serve fault, and apparently Osaka says "come on" to pump herself up between Cirstea's first and second serve. And I think it might be Cirstea. I think it's Cirstea is what I've heard. I know I've said
Okay.
Cirstea her whole career, but so between Cirstea's first and second serve, we hear a kind of quiet "come on" from Osaka, who's just pumping herself up, not she says not trying to get in the opponent's head or anything. Cirstea does not like it, is pretty upset by it, stops and talks to the umpire and is like, says something to the effect of like, is that okay? Like, are you going to let that happen? The umpire says it's fine, essentially. They go on, keep playing that third set. Obviously, Osaka ends up winning, and then there's a terse handshake at the net.
The umpire says as long as she's not in her serve motion, she hasn't interrupted her serve. So she said, come on, in between the first and second serve. Let's pause even just as much as you've told us. Where do you stand on this so far? Okay to say, come on, audibly in between the first and second serve?
I mean, that's one of the unwritten rules. I think you're not really supposed to do that. Although, as we'll get into it, I feel like Osaka handled this well and Cirstea didn't, but I don't think you should say "come on" between your opponent's first and second serve. I mean, that's like if I heard someone talking about this, if someone in the crowd would have yelled something between Cirstea's first and second serve, the umpire would have like said like, please be quiet, like don't say anything into the microphone. So like, the crowd's not supposed to do that. Opposing player's not supposed to do that. So I mean, she says it like so quiet, like you can barely even hear it though. She really says like "come on" like just to herself. I don't know. It shouldn't have been that big of a deal. I mean,
It's because so to your point, it's unwritten. That's why the umpire says no. I'm not going to do anything because it's not a written rule. It's an unwritten rule. And I think why it's unwritten is like we all hate flubbing a serve. So any indication of like I'm celebrating that you missed your first serve and now you might double fault. It's just like bad juju because God, just nobody likes to double fault. So
Right.
I feel like that's what the sentiment is there. But yeah, the handshake is just kind of a barking fight handshake. Cirstea yelling and saying not cool, and Osaka rolling her eyes and saying whatever, dude. And then comes the post match on court interview from Osaka. Did you catch this as well?
I did see this. So she said, correct me if I'm wrong, something like sorry, Cirstea was mad about me saying "come on," something like that.
Yeah, she did. She did kind of bring it up. I think the interviewer goes like, "What did it take to get through this one?" Kind of a basic question. She's like, apparently a lot of come-ons that
Right.
she didn't like to
That's
hear.
right. That's right. Yeah.
She then goes on. Apparently, some of the context of this is that Cirstea is one of the every year has players like this who are like, this is my last year, meaning that every
Yeah.
tournament I play is sort of like my farewell to Australia, my farewell to Paris, whatever. And so we got like Monfils doing that this year. We have Wawrinka doing that this year, and apparently Cirstea doing it. But Osaka's in the post match, a straight up savage. She's like, yeah, I mean, I guess this was her last Australian, so I'm sure that's why she's upset she lost and it's over for her. I was like, oh my God, why she got to dig the knife?
Right. Yeah. And I just feel like "come on" is like, I mean, the two most common words you hear on a tennis court. Like, it's not something crazy. I don't know. I feel like Cirstea just made like such a big deal out of something that it wasn't. I mean, it's pretty small. I don't know. Just like the weird handshake and yelling at Osaka after it. I don't didn't love that. Um, but yeah. And then I watched Kirstea's like post game interview at the podium after that, and obviously got some questions about that. And she wouldn't talk about it. Was just like, I don't want my final Australian Open to be like the main thing about it. So, and essentially like would not talk about it. So yeah, kind of strange there. But I guess she doesn't want that to be her last memory of her last Australian Open.
Definitely is going to be, unfortunately. But it's funny. I was feeling a little bit more anti-Osaka in this whole engagement. On principles, I was feeling like I think she is being a little bit of a dick here across both speaking in between serves and then doubling down on it in the on court. But I'm saying I was feeling like she was in the wrong theoretically. It's not necessarily making me like her any less. If she wants to go Muhammad Ali, Terrell Owens, and talk some shit and play the bad guy, so be it. So
right. And I will say, we were talking her on-court interview, and then after that, Osaka's like post-match interview at the podium, where they have some time to kind of think about things. She did apologize and admitted she said some disrespectful.
She knows.
Yeah. She said said some disrespectful things in her on-court interview, and she doesn't want to disrespect anybody, so was kind of apologetic about it. So I thought she handled that pretty well.
By the way, Naomi Osaka walked into the tournament in her first round match in like a pre-match warm-up outfit that included an entire umbrella.
Right.
So between the spat, the injury, the fits, she's a reliable drama queen for our television viewing eyes, and we appreciate that on top of all the success for her.
The jellyfish inspired fit, apparently. I loved it. It included a hat, a veil, an umbrella. There was a butterfly on the hat and the umbrella. That was an homage to when the butterfly landed on her face at the 2021 Australian Open, which she ended up winning. Yeah, exactly. So I was loving the fit. Yeah.
So she's going jellyfish, like Great Barrier Reef. Australia's a place of nature. Because when I saw it, I was almost like, save this for Wimbledon, where a lady might carry an umbrella in English formal fashion.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that being like a kind of Victorian English look. Yeah, umbrella, big hat. Yeah. Huh.
But it's jellyfish. Okay. That's women. We still have more to talk about when we look at the back half. But so much good, juicy stuff in a week of tennis. Hell yeah. Joe, I got this message from friend of the podcast, former and future guest, Michael Dukes.
So who told you all last year? Who told you all Lerner Tien? He's the one. He's the chosen. I did. And I remember you all clearly kind of laughing at me. Well, I hope you learned your lesson.
Joe, do you remember laughing at Michael Dukes about thinking that Lerner Tien is a strong prospect? I don't remember laughing at anybody.
I don't either.
Don't laugh at our guests.
Right, especially not friend of the pod, Mr. Dukes.
Daddy Dukes? We would never. So I don't get where this is coming from. But if he feels like he deserves more credit for the take, how are you feeling about Lerner Tien in this tournament?
Hell of a tournament for him so far. Obviously, he's into the quarterfinals. He'll play the 3 seeds Zverev tonight. Took down Medvedev in the 4th round in straight sets. 6-4, 6-0, 6-3. So really, really great showing for Lerner Tien. He was a 25 seed in this tournament, so he's in the top 30, playing really well. Good call from Daddy Dukes.
We'll see what he can do against Zverev. By the time people listening to this, that result will be there. Also, best results of their careers, Ethan Quinn from Georgia Bulldog. I really liked Ethan Quinn's performance in this tournament. He beats Hubie Hurkacz, who seemed like really sad about it. It was actually kind of tough to watch.
Hubie might be on the back half of his career, on his way out now, kind of a thing. Yeah, that's too bad.
And one that never like really had a peak that he maybe would have liked. Like accepting that how good he's done, which is fine but not amazing, is as good as it will be. That is kind of a tough moment in your life.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah. And so they met in the 2nd round then, Quinn and Hubie Hurkacz.
think that's right because Quinn goes into the third round and he does lose to potential phenom Jacob Mensik, who unfortunately, like Osaka, kind of robbed us of a good matchup by exiting due to injury. That we would have got to see him play against Djokovic, who now skips into the quarterfinal.
Right, and
on a
that's
walkover.
and Joker, who we barely mentioned last week, he is cruising. Has not dropped a set, and now gets a walkover in the fourth round into the quarters, so he'll be fresh. I mean, that's the winner of the Musetti Taylor Fritz match. We'll see Joker in the quarters. I mean, he's looking good. He's looking really good so far. Obviously, a 10-time winner here at the Australian Open, so he knows how to get it done here. I feel like we should have given him some more love on the episode last week.
And you know what? This Mensik injury situation is just what the doctor ordered. Literally, the doctor. I was actually at the bar with another past and future guest, Ravi, and he was like, "Listen, if Djokovic is ever going to win another tournament, he needs to like condense matches. Like he can't be playing 4 and 5 setters. A whole extra day off with the walkover is huge for him and his old ass body."
It really is, especially in this heat that's going on down in Melbourne right now, getting into triple digits. So,
especially
yeah, for sure.
in this 3-digit heat, which Joe, that you're talking in Fahrenheit when you're saying
That's
triple
right.
degrees, right?
Right.
Speaking of the heat, speaking of body functionality in the heat, speaking of Americans who had their best result of their career thus far, and speaking of fortuitousness, all of that stuff, I'm carrying over into the next and final conversation of the men's draw, if you're ready for it. Do you have anything else to talk about besides Elliot Spizzirri and Jannik Sinner?
The only other thing I guess I have two other things.
We'll do 'em.
One, yeah, okay, sounds good. One, Stan Wawrinka. So you said, I guess I missed this. You said this is Wawrinka's like kind of farewell tour. He already announced he's retiring.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? This was worthwhile. I'm sorry I left this off the notes, Stan.
So Wawrinka, I watched a lot of the Fritz Wawrinka match, which I think was either the second or third round. The crowd was like totally behind Wawrinka. He has like a huge fan base in Australia, I guess. He won the Australian Open back in I think 2014, and I was just like I was kind of surprised at how much the crowd was on his side. It was really kind of cool to watch. He was pumping him up at one point, and I think he was a wild card here. Here at the Australian Open, so I think there was some doubt if he was even going to be in this tournament. Ends up getting to the third round, goes 4 sets against Fritz. Pretty darn good showing for him for a 40-year-old. So kind of happy for him. And I was really pleased that the crowd was with him. Obviously, we're Fritz fans, but Fritz pulled it out. But it was kind of surprised and kind of found it inspiring that the crowd was giving Wawrinka so much love.
Yeah, he's doing a victory lap and soaking it up there, and has to be pretty happy with this round of the victory lap at the Australian.
For sure. The only other
40
thing
years
I
old.
wanted to, yeah. The only other thing I wanted to mention before we get to Sinner, and I think this is friend of the pod, former and future guest Steve Nicknish mentioned this last year at the U.S. Open. I turn on the TV and I'm watching Alcaraz Mutet in the third round, and it's just like, this is probably a me problem because I could just get the ESPN app or whatever, pay for ESPN Plus, and I could watch any match I wanted to. But I'm watching the main broadcast, and they're showing Alcaraz Mutet. Nothing against Mutet, we love Mutet, but it's a straight set match. Alcaraz wins 6-2, 6-4, 6-1. And we're watching this. Meanwhile, Medvedev, Marijan are going 5 sets in like an incredible marathon match, and like all I want to do is watch that one. So I don't know. I don't know what you can do. I mean, I get like Alcaraz is obviously, him and Sinner are the big stars. They're the draw. Like, I guess they're going to be shown on the main broadcast whenever they're playing. But I just really, I don't know what else you can do. I guess the answer is I just get ESPN Plus so I can watch whatever I want.
there's never any creativity in the first round matchups. The prime time big arena matches go to the like 1 and 2 seeds on the men's and women's, and they beat the shit out of some player because it's the first round. Like, it would actually be kind of innovative if the U.S. Open was like, Coco Gauff is going to play her first round match at 6, but at 8:30 we caught wind of like a pretty even first round match of players that might be kind of exciting, something like that. But they never do it that way. It's always like, if you have the evening ticket, if you're watching at prime time, you're getting Coco beat the shit out of someone, and then Jannik Sinner beat the shit out of someone. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
you miss out on Medvedev Marozsan.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'll have to get on the app so I can just pick what match I want to watch.
We're not going to have that problem in week 2, as you highlighted at the beginning. We have unbelievable matchups. Let's talk the second drama aspect of the tournament so far with Sinner. Do you want to summarize? Do you want to react? You take it away.
Yeah, I could kind of start by summarizing, I suppose. So this is a third round match. Elliot Spizzirri, who's unseeded, American player, playing the 2 seed Jannik Sinner. They split the first 2 sets, so Spizzirri gets a set off Sinner. It's they're playing on one of the main courts with the roof open, so it's like 100 degrees. We're talking Fahrenheit, super hot out. Sinner's cramping hardcore. It's hard to watch. I mean, he can barely walk out there. And we're into the third set now, and Spizzirri goes up 3-1 in the third set. And I'm not sure how they measure this, but the Australian Open extreme heat policy got up to 5.0 at this point in time, when it's 3-1 Spizzirri in the third set after they split the first 2 sets. And apparently when the extreme heat policy gets to a 5.0, the tournament referee can suspend matches. So we get a short break here where they close the roof, which obviously is gonna cool things down to get the air conditioning flowing and everything. So there's like a I don't know, 8 to 10 minute break to close the roof. So Sinner gets to take a break there when he's clearly reeling. He's cramping. Like, Spizzirri's playing well.
Dude, he's
really
cramping like he can't like move his joints. He's like walking like Gumby.
He can barely walk. He's like throwing in these he's hardly even like serving. Like he's like serving like I would, like with like he just can't do anything. He can't push off with his legs, anything. And so there's a pause. They close the roof. So it cools down in there. Sinner starts playing well. Resolves the cramping issues. And then, so after the third set, I guess because they had played 2 sets with the roof open already, it was up to the discretion of the umpire or the referee that there was they'd had an extended break after the third set. So it was an even longer break where Sinner could kind of recoup and get some fluids and everything to resolve the cramping issues. So a little unlucky for Spizzirri there. John McEnroe had some thoughts on that during the broadcast. But yeah, so that was interesting timing, I guess, when to close the roof in the midst of Sinner cramping really badly.
So what did McEnroe say, and then what did you think?
So I think at first when they announced that they were going to close the roof, McEnroe said something like, I hope if Spizzirri was the one cramping, they would have made the same decision. Meaning he's hoping they're not giving Sinner favoritive treatment, because he's number 2, whatever. And then later, when it was announced that they were going to go ahead with this extended break at the end of the third set, I think he said something like, it really helps to be ranked highly or something like that. And Chris Fowler was like, what are you implying? And he's like, what do you think I'm implying by that? And so, yeah, I think the implication was Sinner's getting favoritive treatment there, because obviously they want the top dogs to win for the ratings and for the hype and everything, or that's the thought anyways. Maybe they're getting favoritive treatment to the top players so they can, keep them in the tournament and whatnot. But yeah, that was interesting.
Uh, you're being pretty political here. I know you don't want to fall out of favor with Jannik Sinner and Darren Cahill. I'll let you leave your comments. I'll tell you how I experienced it. I do have ESPN Unlimited, and I don't want to say that like I'm like you're on the wrong side of the tracks or something because you don't have it. I don't currently have a cable thing. I'm doing all streaming, so I only have ESPN. I can't watch like CBS. So I'm watching as they're talking about this heat index and whether we're getting to that 5.0 point where the matches are going to end. Here's what I'm watching. I'm watching Sinner all stiff and sort of like looking at the umpire like, oh, like we're probably hitting 5.0 pretty soon, huh? Aren't we? Every other match is playing. Everybody's playing and being sweaty like normal because it's the Australian Open. And then when the umpires come and they say like, hey, it's official, we hit the heat index. Every other player is like, oh fuck, like, come on, we're in the middle of this. Like a normal, like let the boys play.
Right, we're in rhythm. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Sinner's straight into the locker room, as you said, getting fluids. I don't know. Chris Fowler might ask you what you're implying by saying fluids with Jannik Sinner. It left me feeling like Sinner shut the tournament down because he was having issues with his cramping. Look, this was how I experienced watching it. I know that's not the case, and I know that there is a rule in place, which apparently has to do with something called 5.0. I don't know what is that a measure of, Joe?
So I'm not sure if that's like a heat index thing when it gets like if the heat index gets to a certain temperature and then they call it a 5.0, but there were levels where like 5.0.
What's an index?
I think the heat index is like the temperature plus like the humidity. And so like if it's 90 degrees but it's really humid, then the heat index is like 110. It like feels like 110, like similar to wind chill. But there was like, so 5.0 is the highest, and this was like this was literally on the screen, the Australian Open extreme heat policy. It was like if it went to 5.0, they could suspend play. If it went to 4.0, then there like between the third and fourth set there was like discretion for the umpire to have an extended break. If it was like 3.0, there was something else. But yeah, it's interesting. I will say, when you said it felt like Sinner shut the tournament down, I mean, it's not his call to close the roof. I mean, it's the referee or the umpire. There's nothing he can. I mean, maybe he was asking for it, but like, I mean, it's not like I don't know. It's not like he's not the one out there in control of the roof. I mean, he can just play with what they do.
He's not, but you don't think he has some staff, some managers and like people that are on Team Sinner that can put a quick call in and remind them, be like, guys, check the heat index. I think we're probably at it, right?
I'm sure that may have been going on, but yeah, and it's just like goes back to what McEnroe was implying, like if the tables were turned, if Spizzirri, an unseeded like lowly ranked player, was cramping and Sinner was playing well, like would they have done this? Like I don't know. That's a good question. So it's interesting, yeah.
Does Spizzirri have the same lobby that Sinner has?
Right, exactly. Does he have that kind of pull? Like, do they want to? Yeah, it's tough. It was a really bad look. I think it was just so. It just looked like Sinner was getting such favoritive treatment by the tournament. But I don't know.
Look, you should go check out on TikTok. I talked about all this, and I started getting roasted because everyone's coming at me. Michael Dukes, and now all my comments are like, "You're an idiot. This is just the rule," and I'm talking out of turn. But all I was trying to say, and all I'm trying to say here is you just put it really well. It's a bad look, and I won't even go so far as to say like any of the rules were broken or Sinner did anything untoward or any of this didn't play out as it's supposed to according to the rules. But the fact of the matter is, part of your career as a tennis player, believe it or not, is being liked, is your personal brand. It really does impact your career. It's just like the president. It's a popularity contest, even though that's not the main thing that you're executing, it does count for something when you have the crowd on your side. You can decide to play the villain role and play it differently too. But the more I watch Sinner cramping around and having the air tube in his mouth like the girl at the beginning of Midsommar, and the more I flip to the other channel and see Alcaraz getting rounds of applause for his from the ladies for his shirtless or his sleeveless shirts and like doing front-facing tweeners, I'm just starting to head in a direction. I feel like public opinion, including myself, is as the public is going to be like Sinner's lame and Alcaraz is cool.
That's interesting. Wow. Okay. That's I like that take. Yeah. And that's a great point you made about like in tennis more so than a lot of other sports, at least American professional sports, like your brand is huge. Like it really actually like affects more than just your popularity, but like financially, like for like if you're an NFL or NBA player, for instance, like most of your money, unless you're like one of the top players, like 90+% of your money is your salary. And like you're gonna have some endorsements and stuff on top of that, but like for some of the like the best tennis players in the world, most of their income is from endorsements. Like their prize money they win is a much smaller chunk of their finances. So, like to your point, you're exactly right. That brand in tennis is huge, but also like if you play that villain role, like you said, and you play that villain role well, that can also build your brand, and people tune in to watch the villain lose. So yeah. That's interesting. Interesting juxtaposition
True. Hey,
with Alcaraz.
Again,
yeah.
I'm not saying kick him off the tour. I'm just saying boo. I'm just saying boo. I'm allowed to say boo. That's what you do at the sports.
I agree with you. It was a bad look for the tournament. It just looked so like it just looked so much like he was getting favoritive treatment. But yeah, I don't know. What are you gonna do?
Joe, I have a slight treat for you before we go to the ad break, and then just talk about the matchups that we have to get us through this winter week, which I'm so pleased to have. So I spoke with for about 20-30 minutes on a FaceTime my beloved Australian friends, people that I knew here in New York, and they've moved back over to Melbourne, so they just gave me a little bit of on the ground visitation highlights. Them and their friends, like about a group of 20 of them went out. I mean, to be a young, upwardly mobile professional living in Melbourne during the time of the Open, they said it's what we all do. I mean, if we all pick a day to go, if not multiple, to hit the tournament, and you can really feel it even like at the bars. You know that everybody's in town for it. You can just kind of feel the energy. I experienced it this way too. Melbourne is a little bit smaller than New York and London, let alone the stadium, and the campus is also like so much closer to the actual main city grid too. So they had and are having a great time enjoying these couple weeks of their summer. They saw countryman Jordan Kubler take an L to Francis Tiafoe. Good matchup. They also got to see Novak Djokovic. At this point, seeing Djokovic at the Australian Open feels like seeing the Sydney Opera House in Sydney, or seeing the Statue of Liberty. It's just one of the main things that you see when you go to the Australian Open.
He's an institution there.
They did have some challenges. That's right, with long lines and heat. I heard about this on Sports Business Journal that as these tournaments continue to break their own attendance and capacity record, like tournament over tournament, they're like having more of a hard time with the flow and the food and the bathrooms and stuff. And it's getting a little bit music festival like, where some people are like, this is actually a bad experience, and if you don't get a good seat at the Australian Open, you're going to end up like Jannik Sinner roasting in the sun, and you're not going to want to be there anymore. So it's not all fun and games and lemon aces. But to round out the happy Australian weekend for them, they told me about something completely untennis related that I loved. The Australian Open also overlaps, Joe, with what's called Australia Day, and it's their sort of problematic holiday, kind of like Columbus Day. but they still have like the Monday off, so it's still nice. And what always aligns with the Open and Australia Day is Triple J, the famous like hip indie radio station from Australia. They count down the top 100 songs, and everybody, this is what they were doing. I was so jealous. I'm sitting here in the snowstorm. They sit by the pool. Everybody has a pool there. They sit by the pool, they turn on the radio, and they listen to the countdown.
Wow.
As if it's the mid-2000s. Doesn't that sound great?
That does sound really great. That's incredible. Oh, man.
Shout out Lily and Zach. And I'm playing that number 1 pick, Olivia Dean's "Man I Need" from Triple J. I'm gonna lace this under our whole conversation here, and I'm gonna take this extra effort because I tried to record this conversation and have some clips from it, and failed to do so. So this is my formal Olivia Dean aided apology, and congrats to Olivia. She's big in our house as well.
Excellent. Wow, that does sound like a great time, man.
Okay, so Australian Open mid-tournament episode is brought to you by Foster's. I was just drinking a lot of Foster's while I watched the tournament this weekend, Joe, staying up late watching Coco Gauff navigate her way out of those matches. So thanks to Foster's. If you are listening, here's some things that you can do. The number 1 thing you can do is tell someone else about the podcast if you think they would like it. They don't have to like tennis yet. They just have to seem like someone with some class and sophisticated tastes for sport, like Joe and I. The other thing you can do, we're trying to expand. You can follow us on TikTok. I'm going to try to do more TikToking, even though I'm a 32-year-old man. That's bald. And I'm doing a Substack as well, Joe and I. So find us and follow us on Substack. Those are our media efforts. And then the third thing is just listen next week. We're gonna obviously next Monday we're gonna drop the Australian Open post, the recap with all the awards. So it's gonna be thrilling to give out those awards. And then we're gonna have like boring episodes for the next like 3 months. So enjoy it while you can while we're in slam territory here in the middle of the winter. All right, Joe, should we just run through quickly what our week is looking like? It's looking amazing.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah. We got so tonight we got Shelton Root, I believe.
So by the end of this, record, but by the time this is posted, we'll see if Shelton can get past Rude. I would hope and think so, and presumably also Sinner wins again, as he always does. Fellow countryman Luciano Darderi, and so we get Shelton Sinner, which I would really, really like to see in the quarterfinal.
That would be great. And then we got Fritz Musetti tonight as well, and the winner of that gets Djokovic, like we mentioned. So that's a great fourth round and quarterfinal matchup there as well.
It's a really, really good fourth round match. Those that just two as high a tier you can be players that are not Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner in Fritz and Musetti. So both are going to want that one, and it'll be a statement either way that it goes. Already in the quarterfinals, Joe. I don't know. Would you, what type of odds do you think you'd get on Lerner TN against Zverev?
I would guess not great. That might be a good take the games and go TN there if it's a good game spread. I would guess Zverev's still a pretty big favorite, even though TN's had a nice tournament so far.
And it feels like a good bet because it's kind of an unknown quantity. Like we had no idea, except Michael Dukes claims he does. We had no idea before he beat Medvedev that he's the type of guy that can beat Medvedev in straight sets, right? Do we know whether or not he can beat Zverev? It's not that we know he can't. It leaves a little space for some action.
Right. Yeah. It'll be a good one to tune into for sure. And I gotta mention, watch out for
I mean,
Alcaraz
here's
Demonar.
Alcaraz.
Yeah, exactly. Watch out
Okay.
for
Maybe.
watch out for Demonar here. So Demonar's last two matches had a third round straight set win over Tiafoe. Obviously Tiafoe's a great player, and then had a straight set dominant win, 6-4, 6-1, 6-1. Couple breadsticks there against Bublik, Bublik's kind of had a renaissance here, and is playing really well. So Demonar kind of took him down pretty easily. He's going to have the home crowd behind him, obviously, Demonar. Watch out there. Watch out. Upset alert. You heard it here first.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, man. That would be an interesting one to check out the game spread there as
Johnny
well.
said the same thing. He
Really? Interesting. Good for Johnny.
Okay, now I can take you on that at least. Well, maybe bad for both of you. Maybe this is just yet another couple of hours of watching Alcaraz win, and it was a waste of everyone's time. On the women's side, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. So, still in the fourth round again to be completed by the time this is posted. Let's presume, for the sake of it, that Iga Swiatek beats this Australian qualifier, and then she'll play either Rybakina or Mertens. So, as you said, sort of the top dogs, sort of the main characters emerging here in the quarterfinals as they should be. And then we enter this area of the bracket, which is becoming American friendly fire. So we'll know by the end of this evening. We'll actually probably flip that on soon. What's going on with Pegula and Keys? Good friends, both later in their careers, both real contenders to win this tournament. So a heartbreaker for either one of them that loses that match, and then potentially has to take on Anisimova in the next. A similarly fraught situation, two in a row for one of those girls.
Right, and yeah, Anisimova's got unseeded Jinyu Wang in the fourth round, so you would probably expect Anisimova to win that one. So, yeah, it's been a great tournament for the American women. I believe I heard, 7 U.S. women's players into the third round. First country since 2015 with 7 women into the Australian Open third round in women's singles. And this is the most American women into the third round of a slam in 11 years. So great showing for the American women here in Melbourne.
Awesome. Was it also the United States back in 2015?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to look into that one.
We're not done talking about them, because in the other half of the bracket, already in the quarterfinals, is Coco Gauff with Svitolina and Iva Jovic, probably at the end of the best run of her career against Aryna Sabalenka. But I mean, we're basically just looking at an incredible chance to have an American playing in this final in some regard, and a probable, I'll say hopeful at the very least, Sabalenka Coco Gauff classic in the semi.
Right. Yeah, exactly right. Still a lot of American women left in the tournament. Obviously, like you mentioned, there's going to be some friendly fire in that pot of Pegula, Keys, Anisimova. But yeah, we would all love to see a Titanic Sabalenka Coco Gauff matchup in the semis. That'd be incredible. And yeah, and then in the other half of the bracket, the other semi could be featuring Pegula, Keys, or Anisimova. So we shall see. Should be a good
Right.
next week. Yeah.
Week 2, wear some orange, suck on an oxygen tube, drink a Foster's, bring a squid umbrella or jellyfish. Just everybody enjoy your Australian Opens.
Yes, sir. Will do.
And be polite to your opponents, and stop disagreeing with me on TikTok in the comments. and you know what? and enjoy Australia Day. Okay? It's okay. It's okay.
The tennis fundamentals, the serve, the volley, and the smash.
This month we are doing tennis.
What better way to take advantage of the great weather than with a game of tennis?
I've no chance in the match. He's the #1 in the world and I'm playing with the metal hit.